Welcome, the War Chief of Light is back with another epic video. Hi, my name's Peebs, but you lovely people are more than welcome to call me Peebs. Today we are looking at some of the downfalls of immense success and what that could mean for Endwalker, which could end up being a giant mess. I know. Bear with me, we'll get into it. But before doing that though, if you're into this sort of thing, you like news, lore, deep dives, gaming, or nerdy stuff in general, well, you're home. Hit that subscribe button because listen, we tend to do nerdy here pretty well. Alright, let's look at the pitfalls of success and what needs to be done so Endwalker doesn't make a mess. Before getting into some of the reasons for growth for Final Fantasy XIV, I want to make this crystal clear. Final Fantasy XIV is an amazing game. Period. End point. Its growth is based on many factors, but it's not because it was a poor game before and got better. It's always been a fantastic game. Alright? So let's start with the obvious. Last year we had a global phenomenon. We'll call it cooties. Yeah, cooties. Last year's epic cooties ended up having more people at home than ever before. Basically put, everyone was in lockdowns. They were working from home. They were out of jobs, staying home, meaning that gaming in general had a surge of new players or players playing even more. So growth just from the cooties really was immense across the board. Final Fantasy XIV is no exception. Square Enix ain't dumb. No. Now, I don't know if this part was planned or not prior to the cooties, but they decided to have a massive sale. Massive. So in other words, more gamers are gaming, and they made it cheap. Simple stuff, right? On top of that, they added the content for Heaven's Ward as part of the free trial. Now, I don't have to tell anybody this who's ever played Final Fantasy XIV and gotten past Heaven's Ward. That is some genius writing and some genius game making. Listen, we're going to talk about it in an upcoming video shortly when I finish the expansion, but bitch, that'll sell any new player to stay. Any. Now, I hate to say this, but we can't talk about the major success of Final Fantasy XIV without at least touching on the shortcomings of its competitors. Between long periods without new content releases, poor choices in story writing or game developing, or, treating your employees like fucking trash. We're gonna stop there. Not gonna get into that one right now. Either way, that spelled success for Final Fantasy XIV as its biggest MMORPG competitor. And to be fair, they ended up overtaking them before the mess with the employees. So absolutely, the growth was there, whether it was coming from new players, players coming back, or people switching over. Either way, all of these examples brought a brand new set of traffic to Final Fantasy XIV, which, let's be real, none of us predicted, whether it was the cooties, whether it was the issues with the competitors, just nobody predicted that. I mean, listen, having new friends to play with is a good thing, right? Kinda. Let's discuss. Because of the cooties and the supernatural increase to the player base, which supernatural kind of fits right there, let's be real here, whether it's predictable or not, the servers don't care. The servers were pushed well beyond their limits, and it got ugly really fast, especially in the Americas and Europe, which didn't have the player base there before. There were queues to log in, queues to do duties, queues to do in-game events. I don't know what they're called, but in-game events. And I mean, it got to a point where people couldn't even create characters. AFK characters were getting logged out. So ugly. It got ugly fast. And I'm gonna add a little spice to this. Because of the cooties, servers around the globe are in a massive world shortage. Yeah, with more people working from home, things need to be more remote. Servers are needed freaking everywhere. They can't produce them fast enough. Yeah, like, again, who could have predicted all this? Now I admit, they're starting to get things under control, and yes, it's starting to make sense, and you're able to recreate those characters, and you're able to log in a pretty quick time, I admit. But we got bigger fish to fry real soon. Let me put this into perspective. Right now, in any other MMORPG is the end of an expansion. This should be the lowest point of the life cycle of an expansion. Think about it. This is supposed to be the time where people have nothing to do and they're just waiting for new content. This is typically when you see people take small breaks or just start doing cosmetic stuff, mount hunting, you name it. But no, Final Fantasy XIV is seeing numbers they've never seen before. Record numbers. That's not good. I mean, it's really good for them. It's really bad for Endwalker. Because what comes after the end of an expansion? We're entering the new life cycle, where we should have the biggest jump in players in the entire life cycle of an expansion. Yeah, the most at once. Now, usually after the expansion release, there is a bit of a drop-off. It can go anywhere between 30 and 50%, which is normal for the MMORPG genre. But man, those first weeks... I'm not lying and I'm not joking when I say Square Enix really has to get their butts in gear if they want to avoid any kind of mess for Endwalker. One of the non-technical things you can do to help mitigate this problem is something they're actually doing already, which is fantastic, and that's a staggered entry. Yes, it means that some players have to pre-order to get into that staggered entry, and most probably will. But that means that the core base will. That means that other players will wait for it to be available. So at least there's a percentage of players that are not going to be there day one, which is easier on the servers, no matter how you write it out. And that's a good thing. Seriously, genius move, and yet I don't even know if they did that on purpose or not. The second one is, well, the obvious. Buy servers now. Holy man. And then that's easier said than done. That's me being a bit of an ass, I have to admit. Can you imagine how hard it is to purchase a server right now? Period. And they well, to be fair, they've got a few months to do it, but I mean, good luck. But we know that is the eventual solution. And a third idea, now I'm not a technical expert, not in this field anyway, but one of the things I've seen its competitors use is a layering system. So at least it keeps things moving smoothly on the server for the player, so they don't notice the gap as much. It does suck when you're grouping up though, but it helps the single player go through much quicker and easier. And it's something you can remove maybe a month or so after, when at least it slows down a little. There's also some advantages to where like quests will be easier to cash in and monsters will be available to kill. You know, that stuff. But it's definitely a thing. Now, all that being said, let's just take this all in. What a fucking problem to have. Hi everybody, I'm too successful right now. I don't know what to do with myself. Really. And another thing that I'm going to mention here is they're handling it beautifully. At least their PR team, whoever's writing stuff on the Lodestone, their updates, their Twitter, fantastic. You get frequent updates, with real world steps that they are working on, estimated time of repair, what they're going to do going forward, and a couple paragraphs apologizing for the player experience that you're getting or not getting. Listen, you guys know I'm what they call a refugee. This is unheard of. It's amazing. I feel like they're being honest with me. Or at least they're really, really good at lying. One of the two, but it feels genuine when you put that time and effort into the explanations of what's going on. And it feels genuine when they say, hey, we're working on A, B, C, we're at step B. C is going to be a month or two, but we'll get there. And then you update me later to tell me where you're at. Say what you want, but I've been amazed at how they direct their PR and how they speak to the player base. It's been an experience, and I don't know how else to explain it. It's both shocking, amazing, or just straight up impressive. And no, I don't want you guys to look at this video and be like, Peebs is pooping on everyone's parade. No, not at all. I'm just saying, hey, this is probably going to be an issue, and this is probably why. And holy man, it could very well be a big issue. I hope they're working on it. And if they're not, and if stuff is slow and difficult, listen, this isn't my first rodeo. This isn't my first new expansion. I've been at expansions that you book a week off and you don't play that week because of players or situations like this. So I'm not worried. Something happens, I'm sure they'll fix it. Or at least they'll be honest enough to tell us what's going on. Same thing as the game, Endwalker. I am confident that it'll be worth every second of delay that we go through, if any. I could be just rambling out of my butt and they already have it all ready. Servers are on their way. Peebs, sit down. Never know. But either way, it's alright to talk about it. What do you think? Are you guys excited for Endwalker? Are you ready for that possible server issue? Or maybe there's none. Who knows? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you liked this video, give me a big old thumbs up. If you didn't, well, cool. Be honest with me. I'm a big girl, I can handle it. Bonus points if you tell me why you didn't like it. Feedback is the best way to improve. And if you like nerdy stuff, gaming, Final Fantasy, lore, deep dives, or I don't know, me? Moogles. Hit that subscribe button. And while you're down there, ring that bell. That way you'll get notifications for all my upcoming videos. And yes, they go off a lot. Seriously. I stream 3 nights a week and upload at least 1 video. So we rock her. Don't you worry. As always, Discord, Twitter, you name it. All the socials, info in the description box. I'm an easy person to get a hold of. Don't you worry. Other than that, well, guys, thanks so much for being here. Have a legendary day, and I can't wait to see you guys again on the next one. Bye. Okay, listen, that video was way too serious. Let's get back to the silly stuff and admit that this channel is now officially a Hildebrand Stanek channel.